welcome to Daily Planet, the Blue Monday edition.
It may be the saddest day of the year, but we have some stories guaranteed to put a big old smile on your face.
Or possibly terrify you. We're going to get up close and personal with this massive alligator. That thing's bigger than a dinosaur, and those people are way too close.
This one will definitely cheer you up, though. A life-size Batmobile made entirely of Lego. We're going to take a much closer look at it a little later.
But we're going to start out with a truly Canadian tale. If your ancestors came to this country 100 years ago and ended up in the prairies, it's quite possible this is the very train that put them there.
This is the day Michael Willie has been anxiously awaiting.
So it's the morning of our lift. We'll have to drop the pins in the trucks.
The fate of a national treasure rests in this team's hands.
We're picking up a 109-year-old artifact, of which there's only 2 left. And we need to have the bodies here to make sure that we can handle anything that comes up.
In the early 1900s, thousands of immigrants rode the rails.
All aboard!
Making the long, arduous journey from eastern Canadian seaports to their new homes out west.
The bravery of the Western settlers bringing up everything that they had, picking their entire lives up, and moving out to some random square of land on the other side of the globe from where they grew up, away from their families, made them forge a community that has turned into what we have now, and it's not a story we can afford to forget.
After sitting idle for decades, one of the first ever built colonist cars is getting a major makeover.
We've been working at this for getting close to a year now, getting ready to start taking the car from what it was to where it will be.
We're going to put our trucks back underneath. Been a long time coming to see everything start going back together.
Get that trailer unloaded and start building our piles.
While we're picking the car up and putting it down, it'll be exposed to pressures that it was never really designed to be under.
They're lifting the carriage just high enough to slide 2 newly rebuilt trucks or dollies into place.
Everything's going to be held on 4 small jacks while it comes up in the air. The lift team will be installing blocking alongside the jacking systems, and as the car comes up to the jack's limits, they'll stop. My biggest concern is that we twist or warp the car as we're picking it up. There are no manuals for picking up a 109-year-old wooden train car any longer.
The biggest challenge is just that we have a tight area to bring these dollies into.
But before that's even possible, a problem arises.
We had a mechanical failure here. We have a leaky valve on our side here. When we do start coming down with the jacks, it started spraying out. When it does happen, you have to address it right away, otherwise we'll end up losing hydraulic fluid.
If this happened when the car was in the air, it could be disastrous. Matt is forced to make a quick repair.
We just did a pressure test here, and we have no leaking out of any of the line, so this is just a temporary fix for now so we can get the job done.
Brought that end up 6 inches. We're going to come back here now, and we're going to bring this end up. Okay, going up.
I'm expecting a little bit of flex in the car because of the way it's designed, but it's moving exactly the way I hoped it would.
We're going to push the trucks in really slowly just to make sure that we do have clearance on our side to side.
The trucks are an integral part of the Railcar.
They provide the suspension on the springs, the braking systems, and carry all of the weight of the car onto the tracks.
Okay, Matt, ready to go.
Our dollies are in, so we can get the dolly pinned to the train car.
As they get closer to the end, crew members run into a major roadblock.
As we're bringing it down, the rail car keeps shifting over and over further to the left, and we don't want to get too far out of alignment with where the trucks are at. Well, about 26 there, so we got to come up about 16 inches here.
They have no choice but to somehow straighten the car.
If the car and the trucks aren't properly aligned, then we're not bearing on the springs and the suspension inside the trucks properly.
As we come down here, we're going to try and start shifting it a little bit to the right here to get it back in alignment. We're going to chain it to the locomotive so that we can suck it back over as far as we need to in order to get it lined up into position.
It'll give us the ability to apply tension to the cars. As it comes down on the jacks, it actually will swing back into place where it needs to be.
Okay, come down, Matt. Slow.
Thinking on their feet pays off.
That's good. Whoa. Just slide the jack out, Sean.
I looked at the alignment of the pins, comparison to the trucks, make sure we got clearance.
This pin's what ties the car body and the trucks together. It's the only mechanical connection.
It's going through several inches of car body and multiple layers of steel components before matching up and lining up with the hole that's in the center pin on the truck.
It all comes down to this.
Pins in.
I was most concerned that when we were fitting the pins, we were going to have an issue with the holes not aligning cleanly, and when we went to put everything together, it just dropped together perfectly.
Good job! Back on your wheels.
A huge sigh of relief from this crew
Put some trucks in quick.
after spending hours carefully putting a unique piece of history back together.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be part of one of the last remaining living pieces of the early days of Canadian settlement. Is just amazing.
So that went really smoothly. Everything's back on its wheels now, and we're ready to keep going with the restoration. That went really, really well.